しょ。前回が赤ちゃんのところからだっけ、こっちからだったっけ。前回で終わると思ったフィンチ家の探索、まさかパート2まで出てくると。確かね、これグレゴリーってやつが前回終わって、このオーディンとエディとミルと、もう5、6人ぐらいいるんだよ、確か。まあ半分ぐらいはずなんだけど。どこ行けんだこれ。こっちか。じゃあこっちから来たんだっけ。やばい、方向がわかんない。こう来たんだっけ。やばい、全然ルートが、前回のルートが覚えてねえ。こう来た流れかな。セーブ中。オートセーブ入った。特になんもない。あれどこ行くんだっけ。当たり。上行けそうなんだけど。登れないのかな。おお、登れた。
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died.
なるほどね。
At the time, it was as far away as she could get. I can't imagine what it was like for her to lose 2 sons after she'd already lost 2 brothers.
兄弟2人亡くしたように2人の息子を失った。へえ、そんなんだっけ。ちょっともうやばい、2週間前の記憶が。
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died. ここも開かない。なこれ。
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard.
文字を回収して。 これは裏返してた。
My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom were the words that I
now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
どこだ？どこを見ればいいんだ？こっちか。なんだこれ。なんだこれ。
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined and as a sign held up his middle finger.
Good morning. お、こいつ中指取ってるこいつ。やべやべ。あ、こいつか、行ったからか。
The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. And all the humans did that day was go inside the tent. The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
お、なんか怪しいぞ、このやつが。文字通り。
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder." I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet... She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
あと1、2、3、4、4人かな ?5 人か。あと5人。ガスね。次は、こっちはまだいけない？じゃないのかな。だからまた上に戻るってのが考えづらいな。言うていく場所がなさそう。これを行ってみるか。
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
カルカッタで家を建築する参加して家私たちサンジェイであった。で、それだけか。うん、それだけっぽいな。
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later.
英語にレスが生まれた。これは上だろうな。
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go.
他にどこ行くのかな。
I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
帰ってきて嬉しかった。
The house had to get a little bigger, but
いや、
Edie was used to that.
大きくしなきゃ無駄なかったけど、イディをそれに慣れて。あ、なるほどね。慣れっこというか、そういう環境だったんだ。
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
イディがお城をプレゼントした。お城をプレゼント
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
危ない。絵描きさんか。これ入れないの。ここからか。失礼しますよ。あ、いたいたいた。
Milton Finch in
魔法の
The Magic Paintbrush.
鉛筆 ?F で ?F で鉛筆じゃねえよ。なんだこれ。なんか何もできない。これ以外なんかあんだっけ。これ別に何もないもんな。なんだろう。お、動かせるわ。どうやって動かすんだ。あ、よしよし。あ、こうか。すげえな。おお。なるほどね。それだけ？よくわからんかったよ。
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
本当に気づけた4歳だった。 なるほどね。消えた。あ、そんな感じに閉じこもっちゃったってこと？よし、よいしょ。これでどっから出るんだ？これは出られない。多分あとここ用はないはずなんだよな。あれ、まさか窓から侵入したんだっけ？どこだっけそれ。どっから侵入したかも忘れちゃった。いや、これよ。
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
なんか下、こっちだね。あ、いけないんだ。じゃあ、こっちか。
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
こっちか。こっちか。こっち来たから。
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Everyone always told me to stay out of Louis's room. Except Louis.
どっか私侵入できるんだこれ。さて。あ。
Louis's room smelled very, very familiar.
すごいな、この。
That part of him lived on.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. he'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
すごいなんか RPG 感が出てるな。魚で見えない。
But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on.
King Pumbaa もう王様よ。ただ魚切ってるだけで。
New Louisville.
ああこれ。しかと。
St. Louis.
なんやこれ。
He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a beautiful prince, handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for sinister serpents. He followed the sound of her silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping sand, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him. His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
なんで？すごい大掛かりな処刑をされてしまった。
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
あと3人。これは
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand that we left. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner.
こっちか。
But it had to end one way or another.
また子供部屋か。
All that's left now is to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go over it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
頑固でおばあさんだ。動けるのか。
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
ここじゃないの？あ、いけるいける。ここか。
The thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
いや、暗いな。これか。
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground.
あれ？ はい。
There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
どっち行くんだ。
I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way.
うわ、霧が濃いな。
I got turned around.
真っ暗や。ずっと暗いからまっすぐ進んでないのか進んでないのか分からなかったから足音聞けばよかった。足音聞けば。暗いよ。
For a while, I wandered.
見えなすぎる。いいの？
I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed.
なんかあるで。
But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it. Let go.
Oh.
I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by.
絵がすげえな。こうやってやるのかな。
My mom didn't like to talk about it, but she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't.
病気か。
And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive.
お。じゃあこいつも死ぬんじゃないかな、なんだかんだ。
Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way.
生まれてくる異生命を感じる。
This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
ああ、で、これ、なるほどね。でも結局一人残ったところで、結局この家の人たちみたいな感じに、何か精神的に病んじゃうんじゃねえかな。実写っぽい。終わりなんだよね。なんか難しいな。結局そのフィンチの家の人たちがまあ一人一人精神的に尖り散らかしてる人たちが亡くなりまくってて、残った子孫が一人残っちゃって、そのフィンチ家の歴史を知ってもらった上で生きてくれっていう話。結局こいつも死んじゃうんじゃないかって気するけど。あ、Thank you, GG。なんか続編とか全然出そうだけどね、この大人になった話とか。子供だったじゃんね、今なんか最後。それともその子供回想の話なのかな。すごいな、実写使ってる感じ。ボールプールや。意外と早く終わったけど10時半だもんな。まあフィンチが終わったってことで、次のネクストストリームテーマシンキングナウ。ピンチエンドネクストゲームってなった時に、レイヤーズオブフィアとかビサージとかオーバーウォッチとか、まあファイナルファンタジーとか、ビサージビサージュなあ。ジンクスプレイングビサージュやりますおー、レイヤーズオブフィア、すごい。レイヤーズオブフィア、2はプレイド顎でもなんかさ、これ これ、オーディンっていうのがこの、あれな、男の子だったのかな、この一番下の。No, Jinx is scared ghost game. まあ、それは。なるほど。2はやったことあるんだけど、レイヤーズ・オブ・フィアの1がまだノープレインだから、レイヤーズ・オブ・フィアはビサージュ。まあ俺もホラーゲーム得意じゃないからな。まあ、ということでフィンチでしたけど、いやなんか、あれだったな、なんだっけ、鹿を撃ち殺した後あたりがすげえ難しくなって大変だったな。言うて最初から大変だったけど。このバーベラって人の話が一番きつかったな。フィンチはすごいとウォッチ。まあ、フィンチはノーホラーだったけどね。ノーホラーだったからできたけど、ビサージュはちょっと難易度高いよな。マインドブレイク。メンタルブレイクされちゃうよ、ビサージュ。クライン。クライ、スクリーム、ゲーム、ストリーム。プレイ、anything is free. はは。いや、笑えねえよな、多分これきついだろうな。まあ、考えておきます。ノーフィア。ノーフィアってどういう意味だっけ？なんだっけ？無秩序とか、そういう意味だっけ？ノーフィア。フィアの反対だよね。ってことで、ピンチでした。ということで、これにてストリームエンドとなります。短い期間ありがとうございました。やっぱりなんかあれだったね、前回ちょっと続ければ終わるような感じだったかな。まあ。ホラーゲーム、考えとくか。Thank you for watching. 考えるか。Thank you ね。ストリームエンド。バイバイ。